I always hear people say, well, you might as well trade the picks anyway and go get Myles Garrett or whomever because you shouldn't trust. Do you really trust this organization to be able to find the right players in the draft? And I know why people say that. I think it's a reckless way to think about like how your franchise should go about its business, though. Like, I can't get over, like we were saying before the break, just like how good of a job Howie Roseman has done putting the Philadelphia Eagles together. And I'm not saying that's easily replicated. I just wish, as a Bears fan, I wish we could get to the point where the organization have so much faith and confidence in like their process, in the way they do things, in the way they develop players, that it feels like it's almost in cruise control. I think the Rams do a great job of it. I think the Ravens historically have done a great job of it. The Chiefs do a great job of it, maybe not even as well as those other guys. I think Mahomes and Reed cover up some of their deficiencies. Look, they've been looking for a left tackle for like 5 years, you guys.
Yep.
Like, and they keep winning games and they keep going to Super Bowls. Like, they don't have a left tackle. Think about that.
Yep.
Like, so I think he covers up some of their deficiencies, but I just wish we could get to a point where we trust. You're talking about that honeymoon period, like honeymoon number 2 for Ryan Poles. I wish we get to the point where almost no matter what moves were being made, that fan base just goes, I'll trust Howie. Like, he's done it before.
Yeah, to go down the rosters who you're genuinely jealous of the construction of, right? Like, rather than the quarterbacks who cover up, like you said, the deficiencies. Like, you look at Detroit.
Oh, but that's another good example. Yeah.
What a roster, man. Like, and that's, like, obviously what should be everyone's biggest concern about Ben Johnson, right? Because that roster is legit.
Totally legit. And, like, how do they do it? Like, how are they hitting on all of these guys? And then I was telling Jurk yesterday, I saw this thing flash across ESPN. I think I saw it on ESPN, put it on Instagram. The picks that the Eagles got from the 2021 trade of Carson Wentz to Indy. And, there's a little bit of a circuitous path to some of this because, like, a couple of those picks were then spun off to acquire other picks. But, like, ultimately, the original package of picks that they received back when they traded Carson Wentz in 2021 to Indianapolis, those picks netted the Philadelphia Eagles A.J. Brown, because they used one of them for the trade, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Carter, and Cooper DeJean.
You need to hit a grand slam on those.
Like, come on.
Well, that's what you hope that this Bryce Young deal, you hope we're looking back and that's where the Bears are at.
Yes,
right. Like it needs to be. Like, he needs to smoke that one.
That's why that second round pick becomes so important this year. Like, yes, go hit a home run with that.
You have to. Like, that's how you really make a difference and make an impact.
I totally agree. And like, they're just not there yet. I don't have that amount of faith or confidence. And then I always hear people say, well, you might as well trade the picks anyway and go get Myles Garrett or whomever because you shouldn't trust. Do you really trust this organization to be able to find the right players in the draft? And I know why people say that. I think it's a reckless way to think about like how your franchise should go about its business, though. Like, you shouldn't just think, well, they suck at their job, let's give away those valuable first-round picks. Those picks are so valuable. The cost control that is involved, the fifth year for for the first rounders, like, they are so valuable. You can do so many things with your team when you can constantly be turning those picks into productive starters for you. And I just wish we had more faith in our team's ability to go out and do that.
How many of those teams that we named have actually gone out and made a trade like this? And I know to a degree, like, all right, I don't consider Roquan for a second a blockbuster by the Ravens.
No, I'm with you.
Right?
That's not like 2 first-round picks.
Yes, we're talking 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
Those teams don't really do that, and those are the teams with the best roster construction.
They usually don't have to. They're not throwing multiple first-round picks at teams because they're desperate, because you're right, the roster construction is good. So outside of the Rams taking a swing for Stafford, and we acknowledge that one. Like, I talked about that earlier with you. Like, I get kind of why they did it and why Les Snead felt it was worth the risk. He knew he was taking a risk.
Quarterback's different, though, Carm.
It is different.
Right? Notice we're talking about Mac. We're not talking about Jay.
Yeah.
Right? Because Cutler was, you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's a difference. And I know I just said they're 1A, 1B when it comes to winning a Super Bowl, but still, we're referencing one, not the other.
Dude, go out in the draft and find your Jared Verse this year, Like, find your guy that's going to be a stud. You could have had it in Jalen Carter. You decided against it. You flubbed that one. Plain and simple. There's no, oh, well, Darnell Wright is this and that, and Darnell Wright's their best offensive lineman. No. You thought that Jalen Carter had questionable character, and you didn't want to bring him into your building because of the culture you had. Your culture sucks. We learned that through this last year. Now, you have a chance to rebuild and reestablish a good culture. Fine, go do that. There is no justifying passing on Jalen Carter twice. I'm sorry. I've read a lot about Darnell Wright is the future right tackle, and without Darnell Wright, think where they'd be, and their process made sense at the time because, no, it doesn't work that way. The stud is Jalen Carter. Period, end of story. You flubbed it. Now you have a chance to make amends. So go make amends. Find a stud pass rusher.
Well, people will always play the card. Jalen Carter will not be the same Jalen Carter if he's with the Bears. And if that's the case, and I get if people want to be pessimistic, I get if people want to be glass half empty when it comes to quarterback, but that was never the problem, never the case outside of quarterback. If we're having those issues with other players, that's an indictment on the whole culture, right?
Yes.
So that's not good.
It's not. And you're rebuilding all of that right now.